The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Dan Eve, the Crypto Raptor.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Martine Wismare from General Bytes.
Hello, Bitcoin.
Ben Ark from BTC IoT.
Hello all, good evening.
Josh Sigala from Vaultoro.
Evening.
And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to Issue 1. Issue 1. Bitcoin surges past $60,000 as Coinbase stock market float receives green light from U.S. regulators. Coinbase is going public on April 14th on the NASDAQ. This news may have lifted the price above $60,000, or it could be the usual trading stats of Bitcoin. Dan Eve, what are you more excited about, $60,000 Bitcoin or the Coinbase IPO?
Well, obviously, it's the $60,000 Bitcoin. I initially thought that the news about Coinbase was April Fool's, and there were some really convincing ones going around. And because I saw it yesterday, I was like, is this real? Is it not real? I don't know. I think it's positive at the end of the day, because if the SEC, how are they going to ban, or why would they ban Bitcoin if they're just about to let Coinbase list? So I think it's positive overall that again it adds credence to, and as much as whether we respect them or not, the regulators and the powers that be, the ones that can hand the slapdowns and stuff like that. The end of the day, if they're acceptant of it, then it's that's a pro Bitcoin move. So I think whether you love or hate Coinbase, it's a good sign.
Martine Wismare.
I think the news was triggered. We've been hitting this 60K barrier for a long time. There's lots of resistance around that level. But yeah, I think it's great for Coinbase. You do see a lot of people on Twitter complaining that their accounts have been closed, that they can't connect to customer support. So I think they do have to hire a bunch of people for the support staff. But I think, I did see that today on the RTL network, this the news network, business news network here on the satellite, that there was somebody really, really negative about Bitcoin and crypto being a bubble, and now a platform for trading in bubbles is going live on NASDAQ, and it will fail, and you should not waste your time on it. So but I think in a way it's good. It's also good for Bitcoin because it gives Bitcoin more exposure. I mean, every news channel has talked about this IPO. So yeah, good for Bitcoin. Some of the guys will be really rich. For Coinbase, I mean, for Bitcoin in general, I think it's business as usual. I don't use Coinbase myself. I do have one of their cards, and I used it in the past, but I wouldn't. There's so many alternatives. There's no just need to buy them for extra high price at Coinbase and get not the customer service you would want to expect basically from an exchange. So good for Bitcoin, good for Coinbase.
Thanks to everyone for joining us live. Give us a thumbs up and say hello in the chat. Ben Ark.
Yeah, we're mainstream now. Paris Hilton is Laser Eyes on Twitter, so it's just all part of the sign of us going mainstream. That the Bitcoin companies are IPOing, and I think companies like Visa are starting to accept and use Bitcoin in their platform. I think they announced that they were going to start using the USDT stablecoin somewhere in the platform or something as well. So there's a lot of big companies getting involved in Bitcoin, and this is what happens when we go mainstream, I suppose. And Coinbase IPOing is just I'm sure it's going to be the first of many other Bitcoin companies which will go that way. It's usual. Business as usual when it comes to Coinbase. All these people having their accounts frozen and not being able to get in contact with customer support. I actually had to use Kraken. I haven't used an exchange in years, but I had to use Kraken for something the other week, and it was great. I had a really great experience. I have no idea why people use a service like Coinbase when there's these much better exchanges out there. And on price, it's just looking super healthy. Like we smashed through that 60K resistance. We've got something. It looks like a channel. I've got a chart. Can I share my screen for a second? Am I allowed to do that? I think I can. I think if you disabled it. Yeah, I can. Oh, there we are. Cool. Yeah. So I mean, to me, because occasionally we get these channels in Bitcoin, which seem to happen. And we seem to have this channel going on here, which we're just bouncing between. It's just been happening since the beginning of the year. And you have these moments where Elon tweets something and we seem to break through it. But to me, it kind of looks like we're gonna maybe the next couple of weeks, we're gonna, whether I'll zoom in a bit. Yeah, we're gonna hit the bottom of that channel and then bounce back up to, I don't know, 70K or something. But this is all part of the journey, isn't it? To what's our target? 240K, I think. If it follows the same pattern, it's done in the past when it's had these crazy bull runs. So how do we unshare this? So yeah, and it's looking very healthy. It's looking very healthy. I imagine a little bit of sideways action, and then for a few days, and then we're going to bounce up towards the top of the channel, so maybe towards 70K, and then bounce our way up to a couple of 100K. So yeah.
Josh Shigala, healthy channels, happy Bitcoiners.
Yeah, I find it really interesting to see a mainstream business, of course, really launching themselves on the mainstream investing channels. So I think it's good. It'll do something good. It doesn't really interest me. I would rather have seen them ICO or something more fun in the crypto space. But I like that they're doing it, and let's see. What I don't like is it tends to tie the price more and more to Wall Street, which makes it more manipulatable. Yeah, because now Coinbase will open themselves up to naked shorting and all these other things that people can crush companies if they want to. And if Coinbase's stock starts going down, then Bitcoin might follow, wag the tail of the dog, or the dog's tail wags the dog, one or the other, and so we'll see what happens there. At the end of the day, Martin is spot on. It doesn't really matter for Bitcoin. Bitcoin just keeps on going. And yeah, for the price, man, I mean, 60K, it's been knocking up against that door for a while, keeps going up there, having a sniff, and then talking about keeping the dog analogy going, and then heads back down to 50, goes back up, has another little sniff and a scratch. And now, yeah, I think it'll break through. This is pretty mainstream positive news. What I would like to see in terms of positive news is more Lightning adoption, more people using Lightning, yeah, stuff like that. Ben just built this epic thing for us at Vaultoro where you can just get sats by reading the articles and scrolling, having a look through them, and we randomly put these little QR codes around the website now in people. And this sort of stuff is really what brings value to. I know that this is what the argument of people like Roger Ver is, where you need people to use it. But I agree with him on that front. You need people to use it. I just didn't agree on the scaling solution that they wanted. Yeah. So but I'm sort of going off track. I really do like the idea of measuring maybe nodes instead of price, nodes on the network, something like that, to see real value and the growth in value above and beyond the store of value. So store of value is one way of getting value, but I think the other source of value is the usability, the amount of people actually using and transacting in this thing.
Of course, Josh is reminding us, why does a dog wag its tail? Because the dog is smarter than the tail. If the tail were smarter, the tail would wag the dog. Moving on to the exit question, the price of Bitcoin this time next week, higher or lower? And bonus, would you buy the Coinbase IPO? Dan Eve, higher or lower?
I'm going to stick with my guns, and I'm going to build on Josh's analogy of dogs. And I'm going to say, logically, all dogs go to heaven. Thus, Bitcoin will go to the moon. and I'm going to stick with my 65k because I think it's going to happen soon. I'm going to go 65k up again.
Martin Wismar.
I think we'll remain in a sideways pattern for a while, so it will still hover around the 60k, but it will probably be just below the 60k. That's my my prediction.
Ben Ark.
Yeah, the bull's loose. We're going to shoot up now with all these big financial institutions getting on board. The Trojan is well and truly behind enemy lines, and the price is going to reflect that. And smashing 60k is a good. It gives us a good resistance to work from.
Josh Shigala.
It'll be probably up. Probably it might retest that 52 like Ben's stated before. It might come down and retest that. But yeah, trading for me is all about chances. So it's not just it will do this. It's like, for me, there's probably like 60% chance of it going up and 40% chance of it going down. So I would make the call on a long.
And now the seer of seers, prognosticator of prognosticators, the magic Bitcoin 8-ball. Will the price of Bitcoin be higher this time next week? Signs point to yes. Signs point to yes. The ball hath spoken. Buy now. Issue 2. Goldman Sachs is getting close to offering Bitcoin and other digital assets to its wealth management clients. The bank aims to begin offering investments in the emerging asset class, emerging 12 years ago, in the second quarter. Goldman is offering a full spectrum of investments, including Bitcoin and digital assets, and they feel like we're at the dawn of a new internet just 12 years later after we were at the dawn of a new internet. Martin Wismar, welcome to Goldman Sachs, or too little, too late.
Goldman Sachs is one of the top 10 private banks in the world. So they cater to the ultra high net worth, and those ultra high net worth, they have at least $30 million spendable income. So not accounting the supercars and the nice Hollywood Hills mansion and all. Of those ultra high net worth, most of them have already allocated 1% or more of their portfolio to crypto or Bitcoin specifically. So they're all clients at one of those top 10 private banks, including Goldman Sachs. And with $1.8 trillion in capital that they manage, it's just like what was it, 2 weeks ago we talked about JP Morgan, and this is exactly the same story. It's their clients asking the bank, like, help us get exposure to Bitcoin. If you don't, we'll find different ways, but we might find a different bank in the future. So it's not that they're like, experimenting and seeing the future. It's their clients catching up on them, saying like, hey, get me my Bitcoin. So yeah, it's good for Bitcoin, and it's because the price will go up. Goldman Sachs, I don't think I qualify to be part of their private banking solutions. So yeah, don't care.
I favor the banks even when they bring gifts. Ben Ark.
Yeah, I agree completely. They work for their clients and all these. This is why, even if it's a bit cringeworthy, Paris Hilton with her laser eyes on Twitter, their clients are looking at Paris Hilton's Twitter profile, and they're looking at Elon Musk with his tweets, and they're thinking, well, I want to get on board on this Bitcoin thing as well, but it's a little bit scary holding it myself. And this thing, which is investing, 25 or to 30 plus of my million plus of my capital, I want that to now cater for me wanting to get involved in the Bitcoin ecosystem. I was very impressed with this Mary Rich, who was quoted a lot in the article, that I think works for Goldman Sachs, leading the department for these these investors. She just seemed incredibly young looking, but very wise. Or maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need the young people to be able to predict what the current trends are and which direction things like the internet are going in. But one of the quotes I really liked was that she said she felt like they were at the dawn of a new internet, and people are looking for ways to get involved in this space. And I like that, because it wasn't, they were understanding that Bitcoin is going to be the backbone, a very important part of the new internet which we build, the new digital world which we build. And just like Josh said, which I really like, the little thing which we worked on for Voltoro, which is it's almost like a little advert which you engage with, and then you get some sats. So you're able to, rather than companies, well, because if you want to advertise your product, rather than you having to pay some company which is going to stalk people online, socially herd them, and then you can advertise your product to them, you can just reward users directly for engaging with an advert. So it's the ability to do these micro payments is going to have a very profound impact on the kind of advertising capitalism which exists, and is the way in which the internet is able to sustain itself with all these services. Well, that's going to change with the micro payment infrastructure, and that's really exciting to see. And this Mary Young seemed to understand that, and it's great to, Mary Rich seemed to understand that. And it's great to think of her going to these meetings with their investors, and explaining that Bitcoin is going to be part of the new internet, and possibly understanding things like the micropayment infrastructure being built out with Lightning Network. There was another great quote, but this was from Fat Stacks Novogratz, who's in the article. And we're just in a very nascent stage of this ecosystem, and I'll expect to be a big part of our future. So, I mean, obviously he's a big Bitcoin shill and has been for a while, but this was contrary to what you just said, Thomas. They are looking to the future. Oh, sorry, Martin. They are looking to the future, and possible future, what they need to build towards, and I imagine that is prompted by their clients' interest in Bitcoin. But yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see, and it's good to see they've got someone in Goldman Sachs. The person they have in Goldman Sachs covering this area seems to understand Bitcoin for more than just moon and they're filling your bags.
Josh Shigala, Paris Hilton with laser eyes technology. Is that all we needed?
That's all we needed. No, the thing that I'll be really interested in watching closely is what happens when Bitcoin goes down, like crashes by like 13% on a Saturday, and they're like speed dialing their Goldman Sachs and saying, "Get my Goldman Sachs out of that shit, it's falling," and like freaking out. I wonder how like papery their hands are, or how diamondy they are. One or the other. I'll be interested to see, because when you've been through a couple of like these major investors, they're very good at diversifying across and having 1% here and there. And I don't know, like I'll be interested to see if they are really diamond hand sort of holders. They understand, look, this thing goes through boom and busts. It has over and over again. It's going to again, just like the sun rises every morning. It's going to do it again. So yeah, let's see if they've educated themselves or if they're going to freak out. Because I got to say, I'm pretty sure Elon would also sell. Like if he's made $5 billion, he's not an idiot. He's going to sell some crypto and then wait for it to go down. And if he starts seeing there's a top, you wait. I wonder also what MicroStrategy is going to do. Are they going to, because he's sitting there, really going on and on about all the stuff that all of us OGs have talked about for years, all the big points, all the talking points, and everyone goes, "Ooh, wow, what a genius." No, I mean, we've been saying this stuff forever. He's just the newest guy with a lot of paper sitting around. But what happens if this thing starts to crash a little bit? I'd like to see him saying, "Well, I'm going to take some profits here." I mean, you would have to be an idiot. And these people are after profit. They're not after having a decentralized money system going. They're after profit. And anyone that thinks they're not, they're there for like, yeah, we're going to hold with our diamond hands so the network doesn't crash. No, they don't care. They want someone else to hold the bags before they do. So just be careful. It's starting to get very, very frothy with these people. And I'd rather the little guys get a little bit out and take some profits before these guys do. Because once these guys do, it's going to go boom, boom. We're going to see a massive correction because we have these big players, and the big players are good on the way up. They're fun. It's great talking about it. Whoa, now we've got these people and that people and Goldman's big sacks. But it'll get hairy on the way down, especially for those guys.
Let's ask Josh's question to the rest of the panel as an exit question. Are the banks our friends for life? Do they have diamond hands? Or are they short-term profiteers just looking to get out when the number goes up? Dan, Eve.
They're profiteers. They're going to have like a team that are analysts, like, doing triangles and like lines and stuff on graphs, and they'll be jumping up and down saying it's, with all the signals and stuff, and then maybe that information will disseminate down to the fund managers or whatever. But I think I like the comment in there that because it's obviously everyone knows it's a financial, it came out of the financial crisis. But I don't know. I found that people kind of don't like admitting that when they're talking about Bitcoin before. The mainstream media, they kind of almost played down how bad the financial crisis was and said, well, it kind of didn't come out of it. It was, it's almost a side thing. Like, don't give it a good reason to be around. But, they said it's a new kind of money that emerged out of the wreckage of the financial crisis. And it was an absolute wreckage. And it exists there, and it exists now to connect people around the world with peer-to-peer payments, where obviously it's not quite as cash and transparent as it is at transparent cash kind of microtransaction based, but with Lightning Network, that stuff that's growing every day. But the customers wanted to hedge against inflation. And why wouldn't you? Like a Mars bar in 1980 was 15p, and it's 60p now. I mean, that's not even the worst side of inflation. That's just like almost a cheesy example. But the dollar, the pound, they all go down compared to other assets. And it's just not worth keeping your money in fiat. It's simple. And it will be interesting again, as we've other people have discussed about the 30%, 40% drops, and then suddenly the customer base is going, what the hell's going on? I've just lost 40% overnight, and that's probably why they haven't opened up the floor to the poorer customers. It's the customers always right, except the poor ones, because they'll have the staff to man just or man or woman the phone lines for the rich people, but not for Joe and Jane and their carrot and everyone else. But hopefully this will help with things like banks shutting down accounts. Once Goldman Sachs are kind of okay with investing in it, and JP Morgan are, then that will make other banks less likely to shut down people's accounts for pretty much no other reason other than just being in or around Bitcoin.
Sound is the pound, and that sound is the brown sound.
Brown sound of Mars bars. I like the Mars bar index. I follow the Freddo index. They're now 30p. Can you believe it? Freddo is now 30p. It's a very British-centric observation.
It's only 3x up, though, really.
Should have held those Freddos.
Yeah. Should have held those Freddo frogs.
Let's go to Martin Wismar. Will the banks be our friends forever?
Having worked at a bank in the past, in my dark days, I can assure you that they are never your friends. You are their clients. Don't see them as friends. Dan might be right. Maybe in the future they won't close your account because you are trading crypto, but don't see them as friends. No, and they'll sell. They're there for a profit, just like Elon and all the other big guys. Paris Hilton doesn't care about financial privacy. She just cares about, the money, basically. So I think her family office probably said, put on those laser eyes. You own Bitcoin now. So what is the laser eyes? Oh, it's a meme. Oh, yeah, cool. I'll join the meme. So it's no. Don't expect any decentralization or innovation coming from the banks or from the high net worth individuals. I think even the ATM at the time, the cash in overall, that was not invented by a bank. It was invented by a company supplying technology to banks. Banks, they don't make anything. They never invented anything. They will argue that, yeah, they make money, but they're not really physically making anything. So no, They are not your friend. Keep this in mind, even if the price goes to 100K or higher.
As Dan was saying, I really do feel sorry for low information consumers, people who have to rely on CNBC and other services, because when the price of Bitcoin was down at around $3,000, CNBC took the ticker away. They stopped talking about Bitcoin and they put it away like it was over. That was the time when you needed to buy. Now, when the price of Bitcoin's over 50, 60K, CNBC is talking about it every day. They're having CEOs on their shows. Bloomberg is interviewing my friend Jesse from Kraken, right? I'm not saying this isn't the time to buy, but it's like we've ridden a roller coaster, and many of us have been on this roller coaster for a long time, and it's crazy. And every time it goes up and down, you can't believe that it will go up again, and you can't believe it'll go down again. And the media disappearing doesn't help. But yes, these people are seeing a roller coaster near the top, and now they're getting all the information. Wow, roller coaster near the top. Wow, you should get some. And sadly, I feel like the guys are saying they're going to go up over the top of the roller coaster, and they're going to be really happy for a short amount of time. And then they're going to be sad, and they're going to be calling Goldman Sachs on the weekend and in the evenings, and they don't have any service then because their market closes. They even create artificial imaginary closes for Bitcoin, the close of Bitcoin today. And then the market just keeps going. So yes, you have to worry about these people because they don't have any information. The information that they get, like they're trying to do due diligence. They're watching CNBC. They're reading these business things. But when it's up is when they talk about it. When it's down, they don't talk about it, or they say that it's dying. So I understand why these people make so many bad decisions compared to from the other side where you're like, oh, Bitcoin's just really cool. I just wish I had more. And then, you're broke and you need to sell and you wish you had more and up and down and all this. From the other side, they have such a bad information.
But this is I mean, that's a lot of that's us being tarnished by living through, a very unregulated market with a bunch of people who don't really know what they're doing. Like, this is Goldman Sachs. They're not going to let their customers invest large proportions of their worth in Bitcoin. It's a high risk, volatile asset, which their customers are asking to get involved. This is also a package which isn't buying Bitcoin directly. So it's another sort of financial package. So they're limiting the crazy price fluctuations by that. But I mean, I was very impressed with this. But I mean, I don't believe I'm the one sticking up for the filthy capitalist pigs. But I was very impressed with this Mary Rich in what she was saying about how it's going to be an important part of the future internet. And I think that's why they're there to advise these customers with this $30 million they want to invest. They're getting probably better information than we are.
What though, Ben, this is a PR thing. They don't want Bitcoin to crash after they've bought it for all their clients, so they're going out there.
No, absolutely, but they're buying a small amount. And they're going to say to their clients, look, this is a very volatile asset, but we do think it's important for the future. So if you want to get involved in it and invest in it, you will have to accept that you and they'll have to justify that decision which they're making. And they'll also have to justify it when the price goes down substantially as well. So I actually think they're going to have much more diamondy hands than you're going to give them credit for.
I think they've waited so long. It's like the child is there pulling on the dad's jacket. Invest in Bitcoin, invest in Bitcoin. And he said it like a dozen times for years now. And now finally, Goldman's in, JP Morgan's in, the Bank of America's in. And the dad's like, okay, I'm finally going to do what you said. I'm going to invest in Bitcoin. I'm listening to you. But really, you're not listening to him. He's told you a dozen times for a million years. You're listening to these banker people who are Johnny-come-latelys, who, like Josh was saying, Michael Saylor, he's become a big bandwagon leader since he invested, but he was against us before. Mark Cuban, Dallas Mavericks, big bandwagon leader, says that Ethereum and NFTs are better than Bitcoin, but he was against us and against us and against us. Elon Musk owned a quarter of Bitcoin because somebody gave it to him. And it was a big joke to him for years. He's always like, oh, yeah, I own a quarter. Somebody gave it to me at a party. Ha, 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 ha. And meanwhile, you were looking for information from your hero, Elon Musk. He tells you nothing. Now Bitcoin's through the moon and he's telling you Dogecoin. So it's just very hard for these people to get any kind of information. And certainly the Bitcoin people sound like maniacs. And people were mad at me the other day. They're like, they scared J.K. Rowling away. And it's like, no, the internet scared J.K. Rowling away. It's not Bitcoiners. It's the internet. It's just how things get. You can't be like, I went to a public forum for financial advice and I didn't get good advice. Well, no shit. It's a public forum for financial advice.
The,
you can't just,
you know,
the glazed over
quality,
eyes, the
like,
ranty
yeah.
Bitcoin
you know,
with glazed over eyes.
in 2015, I think it was 2015, maybe it was earlier, maybe it was later, but we all, as a community, we all gathered around to battle the bear whale, which was this massive whale that was just dumping the price, and then we were like buying and buying. People were like, "Come on, you got to buy." These banks, they're not going to sit around and try to battle the bear whale. They're going to just help the bear whale and short the thing and make money from it. They're not going to sit there and go, "We've got to save the network. We've got to prove that the price can stay up." No, they don't care. So yeah, they're definitely not your friend.
Yeah, I think Josh is right. They're going to follow the narrative, whereas Bitcoiners want to follow the narrative that we're making digital money and it's constantly improving and that's why it goes up and all this. The bankers are like, there's an anomaly in our system. These computer geeks have made a bunch of money. We want to join in and make money too. We want to charge fees and we want to do all our banker business, but we don't care whether it goes up or down. We can short it on the way up. We can long it on the way down. All the opposite things we can do. It doesn't matter what the thing is. And I think that's part of a real big problem with banking, and something that you start to get to when you watch movies like The Big Short and things like that. You're like, what is the point of this? Like, why are you doing these derivatives? You're very smart. You have all your math and your quants and your crypto quants and your whatever. But why are you doing it? It's like to make humanity better, to go to Mars, to feed people. No, we just make money. We just make endless money. We're very empty inside, and we keep looking for something to fill it, and we try to fill it with money, and we just keep getting more money. And I think people are getting tired of that. It's becoming very transparent. It doesn't fit with a conservationalist attitude towards the planet or its resources, which is a fixed set of resources, right? Everyone's on the planet. Everyone has air. All right, well, we've gone too far. The exit question: who will join Goldman Sachs? Give me a bank, a business, a company, a country, a category of things. Who's coming next that gets us excited enough to feature them on the show? Martine Wishmayer, who will be next? You're muted.
Damn it. Yeah, it's muted. Okay, I was muted. Sorry. I think the next person to or company to join, it will be one of the big banks. It will either be, let me see on my short list, Citibank or Credit Suisse. I wouldn't be surprised if they join. Maybe Wells Fargo. They got 1.6 trillion in management under management. Maybe Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, or did they already join? Morgan Stanley.
They pretty much joined. JP Morgan joined. Yeah.
Okay. And I think UBS, the Swiss bank, I think one of those will join too, because their clients are asking for it. So yeah, they'll sell it.
I liked where Martine was going at first with the names. I was thinking like Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, maybe Cher, Madonna, some of the single names. But sadly, I think they're all more likely to get into NFTs. Dan, Eve, who's accepting Bitcoin next?
I think it would be cool if it was like a big retailer or something, like, not so, like, I don't know, like obviously in the US is Walmart, Costco, Walgreens. UK it'd be like Tesco's or something. I just think it would be cool, for adoption, especially if they use Lightning. Imagine that Tesco rolls out Lightning. That would be sick. That would mean that it just kind of puts it in everyone's faces in a place where they go once a week. You can avoid Bitcoin if you really try. You can hide keywords and escape it because you missed the darn boat and you never want to hear about Bitcoin again. God damn it. But if it's at the payment till, at Tesco, at a corner store or whatever, then yeah, I think that's really going to accelerate adoption. So yeah, I'm gunning for someone, a retailer, or going on the Tesla thing, another company. Tesla, I think they sell like, is it 500,000 cars a year or something? So imagine someone coming along like General Motors, the GMC, or I don't know, like Ford are owned by General Motors. I don't know. Anyway, a big car company just coming along and being like, well, screw it, we're going to accept Bitcoin too, and we have millions of sales a year. So yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see either a car company or a retailer.
A big retailer would be pretty impressive, even if they just had like a lightning savings plan, like round up your bill, save those cents into Satoshis every time, and then you could watch them grow or not grow as the market goes. That would be fun. Ben Ark, who's accepting Bitcoin next?
Lightning would thrive if it had retail adoption like that, and maybe with Sats back, like you say, or something, or maybe just being able to buy products from a big retail shop. What's great, I adore about like Lightning Network as well, is if it can, you can take it because it's a relatively small network now, and you can scale it up, and it will work. There's no reason why it won't. It'll just be stronger. The bigger it gets, the stronger it gets. There's nice big fat nodes people can connect to. Bank-wise, maybe Deutsche Bank, because they're going to run out of gold space to put their gold. HSBC, so the Mexican cartels can launder money, maybe. But no, a big retail adoption would be nice, like Amazon or something adopting Bitcoin. There was a period where there was like rumors that Amazon were going to launch their own thing, but that's what's great about the sort of environment where now people are starting to realize that running their own coin is kind of goofy and stupid and a waste of time, and they should probably just use Bitcoin.
Never. Ben Ark's going to get some of those fat nodes later. Josh Shigala, who's accepting Bitcoin next?
Mickey D's.
Ooh.
Yeah. Go on, McDonald's, get amongst it. Yeah. And if yeah.
That'd be amazing. They're everywhere.
Let's do it. I mean, it has to be Lightning. It can't be anything else. But I would be surprised. I think rather than that, they would probably, maybe I'm just going back exactly on what I said, but they'll probably create their own points, like McDonald's points or something, and allow to pay with that. But I'm not sure. I mean, it makes total sense. Like when I was a student,
if you replace the S with a $, it's like a crypto hacker thing. McDonald's $.
Yeah, when I was
trademark Mad Bitcoins.
I was super poor. I didn't have any money. Went to Sydney to get my first job after school, and I had one thing, and that was a really nice new Epson printer. And I went down to Burger King, and they had like, you stamp like 10 of these things, and you get a free Big Mac. So I got a whole bunch of those cards, and then in Photoshop, knocked up the stamps, and I was like, this is what it's like to print money. And so probably shouldn't tell that story live on air, but it was a long time ago, folks, and you shouldn't do that sort of thing. It's just, it was amazing though to see that sort of thing is probably not, that's what would allow people to not do that is cryptocurrency. Sorry, it's getting late here, folks. My brain is starting to switch off. But if they had a cryptographic version of those cards, then I wouldn't have been able to do that.
Well, McDonald's would be a great one because it's not very far from there to straight up banking. Once you can send someone money for a Big Mac in another country, what's the difference between sending them $2 or sending them a Big Mac, which is I'm sure the company is looking for as well. I'm not surprised I didn't hear it here with such an international audience, but I'm going to go with the United States Post Office. People don't know, but in the beginning, the post office offered banking services. Yes, you could send and receive money at the post office. You could have a bank account at the post office, and they could do it again with no infrastructure costs. If they simply used Bitcoin as their backbone, the post office could be incredibly profitable, competing with other businesses, just like the Republicans want. A profitable half monopoly business competing with everyone else. That's just what you want, right? That's the perfect kind of half state, half corporation running around the world doing whatever it wants. But yes, give the power of postal banking back to the post office before McDonald's or Walmart or someone much smarter than them realizes that they could run Bitcoin as a backbone, cutting the costs of such a service immensely. Moving on to the next issue. Did you know the World Crypto Network has its own audio podcast, and you can listen to it on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and other places where audio podcasts are heard? I even updated it most days this week. And check out WCN Clips on YouTube. We need more subscribers. Look, they got one more subscriber right there, and you can hit the bell for notifications. WCN Clips has all kinds of fun clips. Josh has got an editor guy making it, and he just learned how to do cool new thumbnails. So you can catch clips from this show and the World Crypto Network on WCN Clips. And if you're looking for something to do to help us out that doesn't cost any money, you could share these videos, share them on Twitter, give them the thumbs up, subscribe, share them on Reddit and Bitcoin Talk and wherever you guys hang out, NFT Talk. I don't know. Moving on to issue 3, Bitcoin mining difficulty hits a record high. Listing miners with surging stock prices will now have to compete harder. Yes, I guess it's all over for Bitcoin mining. Time to give up. Too many people are mining. I guess that everyone's done with Bitcoin now. That's what the article headline leads me to begin to believe. Ben Ark, crypto mining uses too much power, too difficult to do. I guess we should just give up and go home.
There was a nice, for the Lightning Hack sprint last weekend, there was a really nice piece by a group called netpositive.money is the website. And they're trying to address Bitcoin's carbon footprint by, offering some sort of service to offset your carbon footprint, which I thought was quite a nice idea. Obviously, the best way to offset to use Bitcoin in an efficient way, carbon-wise, is to do as many transactions off-chain on Lightning Network as possible, and then reserve those filthy, stinky on-chain Bitcoin transactions for big purchases and moving big amounts of money around. But this isn't really, I've gone off topic. Hash rate, it seems to me like every, week or so, we've hit an hash rate all-time high. I've got a major sense of deja vu, so I'm gonna share my screen again, if you don't mind, so that we have a look. So the Bitcoin hash rate here. Can I make that bigger? Here we go. We've just been going up for years. Bitcoin hash rate's just been flying up, but the Zoom thing's ruining my ability to be able to see this screen, but you can see here the hash rate just firing up. So no wonder we're covering it every week, because it is hitting all-time highs pretty much every week, and because more and more people are starting to realize that Bitcoin is incredibly useful. Its price goes up, so you can mine it now relatively cheaply, and then in the future it'll be worth a hell of a lot more money. The amazing thing in this article, which we're talking about, is the cost, the premium in mining hardware. It's up 600% or something. So getting your return on investment on that hardware is going to be tricky. But now we've started to see the past year countries getting into mining. These major hash rate spikes, if not directly countries getting involved in mining, could be countries via a proxy of some sort starting to dip their toes into Bitcoin mining. So yeah, it's just going to keep going up, because Bitcoin's useful and people think it's going to be worth a lot in the future. So it'll just continue to hit all-time highs.
Do you want to bring that chart up again, Ben? I just want to sort of put it into people's minds of what that means, because it's insane. If you go back to around about 2000, just before 2017, kind of where that BTC
it's amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Around about there is, I remember someone calculated how much hash rate it would add to the Bitcoin network if every single bit of hardware that Google had, which, granted, it's not specifically hashing hardware, it's just generalized computing hardware. And if they pointed every single CPU they had at Bitcoin, it would add less than 1% hash rate to the network. And that was back then. I mean, this network is so extraordinarily powerful. I mean, 144 exahash, it's totally incomprehensible now how tough this network is. It's insane. It's absolutely insane, the amount of computational power that's,
and what's cool is if you do make a transaction, then all those computers are working for you to secure your transaction and your money. That all that hash rate, all that power, all those exahashes for you.
Yeah
Amazing. Don't know how to unshare it over here.
All right,
Done.
Josh Segala, your thoughts? Is everyone going to quit mining Bitcoin because it's just too hard?
No, but I can see where large players are finding it's going to get hard to buy Bitcoin. I feel like if it's larger amounts. So people like Elon Musk is mining Bitcoin by basically selling his cars for it and getting it at spot. So that's the way to get Bitcoin, is to start offering services for it and offering your service for it out there, and accepting Lightning Network payments as well. But yeah, a bit of a roundabout, weird way of answering that question. But yeah, no, it's never too hard. You can always calculate a way, especially if you try to find, and this goes for the ad nauseum concept of being green in Bitcoin, but it makes you want to look for cheaper and cheaper and better ways of creating energy. You know, that's all it does. It heads people to like Greenland and such that have geothermal power and such.
Dan, Eve, will everyone be replacing their gas-powered crypto raptors with electric ones?
I think well, I don't, as long as it's renewable energy, otherwise they'd be like bad for the environment and stuff. But I'm going to go because I waffle enough about the green side of things, you know, as I enough as it is. I think we're past the argument now. There's like loads of research that shows it's like 30 to 40% renewables, which is pretty good. So, you know, I'll roll with that. Maybe it's you know, the source is probably slightly biased, but I think it was actually the Cambridge, like it's literally called something like the Cambridge "We're not trying to be biased" like study or something. So hopefully that they weren't just like pulling our leg. You can definitely trust that. But just forget about all of that stuff. But some interesting stats, because actually, Guide a bit of info charts is really cool. I had it up earlier as well. I was prepping some up, and I think that something that we need to look at is the cool stats. And so there's just under 1 million active addresses over the last 24 hours. Actually, it peaked at around 1 million in 2017. So it took a while, dropped down a lot, and it's gone back up there. So I think that's really good. It shows a big sign of network adoption as well, and at these active addresses. And you know, in early 2020, it was only 550,000. So you know, there's a lot more the mainstream attention that Bitcoin's getting a lot more actual usage out of it. The largest transactions, the 100 largest transactions over the last 24 hours totaled 693,000 Bitcoin, which is 40 billion. Yeah, these numbers are just so insane. They're just incredible. And what else I thought was pretty cool actually. I remember looking at mining profitability, and it was, you know, it's at the moment it's 0.3298 USD for 1 terahash. And back in when I first heard that you could mine Bitcoin, I put my twin 680 GTXs towards it, and then was like, oh, that's terrible. So then I put an order in for Butterfly Labs that never came, and that was terrible. And then I bought some Block Eruptor Cubes, and that was terrible. And I had all these fancy spreadsheets about how long it's going to take me to, and all I should have done was just buy Bitcoin with it. I should have just bought the Bitcoin and not bothered, you know, at the time. But anyway, yeah. So check out BitInfo charts. So that was what Ben was looking at, the exahash rate, which is currently set at 162.684, and a difficulty of 22.9 trillion. That's just incredible. But it's got some really cool stats. And if you want to look at other shitcoins, it's got other shitcoins too, if it tickles your gizzards.
Artine, if it falls to you to explain to the media why Bitcoin difficulty rising and that it's harder and harder to mine doesn't mean that everyone is just going to give up because it's too hard.
No, I don't think so. I just read the other day on, I think it was yesterday on Yahoo Finance. There was an article, I think it was written by CoinDesk, that last month miners saw a monthly record of $1.5 billion in mining revenue. So even though it's extremely hard to mine a Bitcoin, it has never been more profitable. This is really like a record. So this is the reason why we're seeing a huge increase in hashing power, is that everybody is just digging up those old miners and switching them on because they want to squeeze as many Satoshis out of that network as possible. And another thing is that Josh, or the graph that Ben showed, and where Josh pointed out that in 2017, even though it's just a blimp on the graph, this Bitcoin network was already so secure that we really don't need the extra mining power. But the way it's organized or works is that, everybody will want to get their piece of the pie. So difficulty goes up, page number go up, technology. So for this reason, everybody is just mining, and they really want to have those mining income thingies. While if you look at the miners themselves, they basically sold most of their inventory at around 30K, 35K or so. So that's where the miners were really selling all their holdings of crypto. But I don't know how or why, either they expect the price to go up or they managed to secure funds from elsewhere, but they've virtually stopped selling crypto or Bitcoin. So the miners are hoarding crypto. Anything they make, they're keeping it. So they either know something or they just speculate that the price will go up, which is likely. And another important thing to realize is that new mining equipment, which will be faster and more efficient, will not arrive until, well, December, November this year, January next year. So there is like all this time to continue mining without the fear of having to replace your equipment, because new, more powerful equipment is hitting the markets. So this is the time for the miners to do whatever they do best, and is dig up the digital gold and keep mining. So no, the price difficulty up in this case doesn't mean that the mining will stop. Personally, I wouldn't want to start mining again. This is what I did on my old Acer laptop back in 2010, and I just work for Bitcoin instead, like Tesla does. They get Bitcoin at spot, at market rates, by selling cars, and I think this is the better way to get Bitcoin. But if mining is your business and you've got a whole bunch of equipment lying around, now is the time to switch everything on, because nobody is going to outspeed you or out hash power you until the end of the year. So yeah.
Yeah, there's also, I got to say, like in terms of mining, of course, there's all other cryptos as well. But like, for instance, Ethereum mining, there's not just the block reward. A lot of the miners are front running these decentralized exchanges by allowing trades to go through, or seeing a trade come into the mempool and basically doing some clever jiggery pokery to get around and really profit from front running the exchanges. So there's just more and more stuff. If you're a clever miner right now, like Martin said, right now is the time to get in and mine. But if you're like the normal person like me or Crypto Raptor, as he said, just buy some Bitcoin.
I tell you, not mining is a joy. Do you hear that right now? You can't hear the miners. Like, can you hear the movie? Can you hear the music? No, all I hear is wah, 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 wah. So yeah, it's awful. Nothing is good about mining at home. Everyone's like, I could get a computer that makes money. No, rah, rah, rah is what you get all the time. But everyone's like, no, the money. Exit question, bonus, environmentalism time. Are you in favor of carbon offsets for Bitcoin? We can't clean up our mess, but we can pay other people to plant trees for us. Ben Ark.
Yeah, why not? I mean, if it's there as an option, people can use it. And some of these carbon offsetting charities, they do good work. I know Net Positive Money have been in contact. In fact, I was sort of trying to convene a few of these people, because I think OpenNode provide a really good service for onboarding, say, a charity to accepting Bitcoin donations. And it can be done over Lightning, so you haven't got those carbon heavy on-chain transactions. On-chain transaction can become tens of thousands of times more efficient if you're using Lightning transactions, if you manage to squeeze all those Lightning transactions into one on-chain transaction. So OpenNode provide a really good service, and the first 10K transactions are free. They offer a discount to charities, so it's like 0.5% per transaction or something. And they also cash out to fiat, which is what a lot of these charities want. So there's some really interesting carbon offsetting APIs. Cloverly's got a nice one where it has, you can calculate the amount of carbon through their API you've used on, say, a plane journey, for example, and then make a donation, and that donation goes to a whole bunch of different charities to be able to offset that carbon. They run a really good service. I actually thought about maybe making something for Bitcoin 2021, like some sort of like screen point of sale thing where you could like put in your flight details, and then it would come up with an invoice. You could pay it on Lightning, and then that would then somehow go through this like Cloverly API to the charities. I think carbon offsetting is it's like a dumb solution. And yes, we all know that Bitcoin like encourages renewables, blah, 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 but it is also filthy stinky and people mine using coal power, so whatever. So yeah, carbon offsetting is another option, is great. And I look forward to, there's no services currently out there, and my mind boggles as to why, because there are, despite what you may think, there are plenty of Bitcoiners who are very conscious of their carbon footprint. And actually, I think the statistic was that to offset your Bitcoin transactions, I think it's a small amount. It's like 0.5% of the cost of a Bitcoin transaction has to go on offsetting. So it could be something some mobile wallets even have as an option. You could just, yes, please offset this transaction, boom. And you just pay a little bit extra. That'd be cool. So yeah, I'm all for it. It's an extra choice, and the market needs choices.
Josh Shigala, can I buy you a carbon offset?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind it. I mean, I'll rape the oceans of all their fish, but don't worry, I've got a fish tank at home. I'm gonna put some fish in that, offset my fishery exploits. No, but it's obviously good to plant trees, but the thing is that we these old growth forests, they're not going to be like made better because we plant some trees. The biggest thing for me is plastics. Can we just do something about plastics, humanity? Can we just think about that for a minute instead of global warming? Plastics, man, Jesus, that's just ridiculous. Oh yeah, let's take 10 seconds to drink this drink out of this thing that's going to last in the environment for 1 million years. That makes sense. And let's do it every day. I mean, come on. This is something we can solve now, and no one can say it's not a bad thing.
They had a character on the Politician TV show on Netflix that I started watching recently, and it was kind of supposed to be like a caricature of the plastics thing. Like she went totally renewable and she wouldn't buy anything in packaging, but it also made sense. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. Like, for example, you look at the grocery store. We used to buy our lettuce and we would put it, again, in a plastic bag. But now the lettuce comes in a plastic box. Certainly the box must be harder to make than the bags. And certainly ridiculous. The bags are bad as well. And, they showed her bringing her little glass bottles to put, her nuts and other things in. It made a lot of sense. It seemed very inconvenient, very hard to do, very hard to switch society over. Even I was boggling, like, do you have to bring an extra glass bottle so they can tear the bottle? The weighing issues, being like a total weirdo, having to dump your stuff out at the check stand. Like, no one wants this.
This is the weirdest
thing. Idea that Josh is talking about, like, we get this one-use plastic, and we get many one-use plastics every day. And then they don't go anywhere.
This is Bitcoiners diverting the fact that Bitcoin has a massive heavy carbon footprint. Talk about plastics instead.
I blame the plastic. It's nothing to do with Bitcoin. Let's see. Who hasn't talked yet? Dan, did you talk about what should we do?
But the carbon. I mean, you can do it. I kind of see it as a virtual signaling thing, and also kind of a. Because if it's just planting trees, that's kind of that does obviously do something, but that doesn't solve the fact that if you're, for example, you're Bill Gates, but you pay for carbon, you've just had a private jet that pumped the fumes. The fumes are the bad thing, right? The fumes are the thing that will moan. I'm not saying moan, it's justified. You got to breathe in. So you're kind of, I don't know, this idea of money being able to offset your bad, the things that you're doing that are bad, but allowing you to do them anyway. I just kind of think it's a bit hypocritical. But why not? If you're going to do that crap anyway, you might as well Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. If I had a private jet, I'd be riding the damn thing. Like you know, I'd probably plant some trees as well. But yeah, the more green we go, the better image it's going to be for Bitcoin. Anyway,
we're also joined by Rodolfo from LA BitConf. Rodolfo, we're talking about Bitcoin mining, how difficult it is, and carbon offsets. What do you think? Should Bitcoin miners and Bitcoin users buy carbon offsets to offset their potential damage to the environment?
Actually, I consider that avoiding an industry that it's very energy intensive, it's a mistake, because energy, it's what, I mean, we have a lot of energy available in the world. Yes, energy, it's everywhere, but what we need to learn is how to make more efficient the conversion of energy into electricity. So I consider that actually this kind of industry is the one that will move these technologies forward to bring more efficiency in the world. Beyond that, the carbon impact, I think that that is a problem today, but I see lots of mining companies that are going towards a 0% carbon effect these days, and this is what we will see even more in the future. So I consider it's like a problem now. I think it's not a problem in the long term. Plus the fact that this kind of industry will be a industry that moves the state of the art of energy conversion to electricity. So I think it's nonsense to avoid it now.
Martin, your thoughts?
Sorry, but the idea of carbon credits and offsetting my Bitcoin transaction is just tree-hugging hippie shit, in my opinion. And it smells like an Enron type of scam. And really, I'm not falling for it. Josh's plastic argument, I think it's very good, because here in Portugal, I haven't seen a single plastic straw, not one of the earwax thingies. They're all made of paper. If you get a takeout food, which we do a lot now, because there's no restaurant open, everything is either packed in paper or it's biodegradable plastic. So it's really easy to get the plastic problem fixed. It just needs a little bit of maybe a push from the government. But offsetting my Bitcoin transactions by planting trees somewhere in Africa, where they probably burn the trees next year because they need firewood, I'm not falling for that. I want my Bitcoins to be green, but I'd rather have it hydro powered or sun powered. So sorry, Ben, I have to disagree on
that as well. I mean, that's what we're working towards, obviously, and that's what we're encouraging, the use of renewables. But there's no harm in offering an offsetting solution, which will, I mean, these charities are regulated charities. They're not just willy-nilly planting trees in areas which are going to get felled the next month and reused for something else. Like, they're legitimate carbon offsetting solutions. So there's no reason not to have it there as an option. And then if people want to offset currently, if they're worried about their Bitcoin being mined in a non-renewable way, and they want to offset that carbon, then cool.
So yeah, and Satoshi forest or something. We have a forest of
Satoshi.
Yes. And then
it's a good name for the charity. We should start it, Martin. Forest of Satoshi. I mean,
yeah, register it now, because before one of the viewers does it. Done. Taken. Okay, that's my opinion. It's
the greenest decision. Gone.
The greenest decision I've ever made was not having children. So I think I participated in the global in the environment by not having children. So I can have 30 Bitcoin transactions, drive a fast car, and fly a jet wherever I want to go without having to feel guilty. I'm not paying extra for my Bitcoin transaction. I'm still paying the 5 or 6 sats per fee byte, lowest fee possible. And I'm not going to offset. Sorry. For the rest, I'm a tree-hugging hippie, but not in this case.
I think it's important to note it's easy to say on an industry level that a large company like Coinbase should pay the carbon offset And it seems very sensible and easy to either require or to just influence them, like the markets, like, oh, you're spending so much money, you're spending so much energy, you should buy the offsets, you'll feel good, your company profile will feel good, the marketing department will feel very good. So I think for that reason, companies should do the carbon offset. It becomes a little more difficult with the personal issues.
Well, it's very much like
an individual to do it, they're going to freak out. If you offer it to them, they're still going to freak out a little bit because it seems kind of forced. It's like when they offer the last dab on the hot wings, and it's like, you should do it. Everyone else is doing it. Don't you feel like doing it? And a lot of people get offended by that, like the South Park episode where they're like at the Whole Foods, they're asking for an extra $1. And it's like, yes, we want to help people, but we don't want to be asked for extra dollars all the time. If it was included in a wallet, you'd be doing it every transaction. Is that too much? Again, I like it from the other side. Coinbase does it. Kraken could do it. They could all put a little environmental logo on the product. They could make you feel good. On every transaction, they should put it on the thing. We have purchased carbon credits to offset your transaction. I can't believe they're not doing that now. That's green leaf in the wallet. Yeah.
This is the argument for plastics, though. Like, you're using that plastic bottle and those plastic bags. Like, we can all make our own individual. Yes, once technology gets to a point where we can create, plastics which work very well and then degrade and just become, like they're made out of some sort of material, like, a PLA type plastic, which using 3D printers or something, which actually is able to, you can make a thin version of it or something. When you have all these great meta materials which you can use in placement of, shopping bags and water bottles and whatever else, the world's going to be a much easier place to live if you're trying to cut down, the amount of plastics you use. Currently, the option is you have to go to the supermarket with your reusable bags and take your own bottle of water and use it multiple times. And that's just like a personal way you can have a positive impact on the environment. Similarly, if you have an offsetting scheme, yes, we'll all work towards renewables in mining, etc. And it'll, big Bitcoin companies will be lobbied to be greener, and so will miners or whatever. But ultimately, as individuals, if you want, and if you make a Bitcoin transaction and you think, well, okay, it's only going to cost me 0.5% of the cost of that transaction to offset it, then why not? That's exactly the same as you taking a reusable bottle as opposed to buying a plastic bottle. It's a personal.
I totally. I mean, I agree. It should be. There's nothing wrong with having a choice of planting trees. I think it's great, and the more trees, the better. Geez, bring it on. But I kind of feel like if you go to Singapore, for instance, and drive from the airport into the city, it's just beautiful. Everything's beautiful. And you think, wow, what a beautiful country. And you just go a little bit off the beaten track and you see all the starving and the old people working like crazy, and they should be retired by now. And you think, it's the same with the plastics thing. It's only a very small amount of people that are actually that you solve by stopping straws and such. The industry uses so much plastic. We used to, one of my startups was a fashion company with my wife years and years ago, and every garment is in plastic, and every bunch of those plastic garments is in plastic, and then that is in a box that's wrapped in plastic, and then when that was in the factory, the cloth would, before it was made into a dress, would be in plastic. Like, it's insane. It's insane. Humanity, you've gone bonkers. Just stop with the plastic. Jesus. It's insane.
And it was like that in the show, Josh. She was calling them out for the microaggressions, and you're getting kind of used to it. You don't say the bad words. You don't call people names. You're very careful on what you say now. But what these guys did seemed so harmless. They got their dry cleaning, and they took the plastic bag off their dry cleaning and they threw it out. And then they got the hanger from their dry cleaning and they threw that out too. And the girl was furious at them. And they, microaggressioned or whatever just by throwing out this plastic. But what can you do? There's so much. And, even in her example, she laid out all of her trash from her hotel room. And she was like, I have made all this trash while I'm in Japan for a week. Like, this is the problem starts at home. So I think, people should have the option to do carbon offsets. It shouldn't be forced, but because then we're going to fall into one of those, you're breathing out carbon and then you should pay, and maybe you should. And then we're in real trouble. Oh, so let's get out of there quickly. Let's move on to issue 4. Issue 4, Bitcoin price surge may be driving up interest in China's digital yuan. Central bank that has obvious interest in it says interest in the digital yuan could be being driven by Bitcoin. A number of central banks around the world are exploring issuing their own digital currencies, though China is arguably the furthest ahead. China's digital yuan is an example of a central bank digital currency, CBDC, I guess that's going to be a thing, which aims to replace some of the cash in circulation. Is the article correct? Dan, Eve, is China more interested in the digital yuan now that Bitcoin is suddenly popular?
I think they're misconstruing the fundamentals here. And they're going like, Bitcoin's pumping, maybe the yuan's going to pump. No. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. No, I think, for China, for Chinese people, this is surely, this is kind of a good thing in a way that Bitcoin is obviously doing really well, and it's kind of reigniting that fire and China has always been kind of, there was a lot of mining in China in the early days. It's still fairly focused there, but if the yuan comes out, then it's giving more legitimacy to Bitcoin, and so it kind of makes it an easier stepping stone, right? It's easier to transfer, say USDC to Bitcoin than it is the normal USD without it being, tokenized. So maybe it's just going to open up the ballpark a bit more and make that trading route a lot more free. But obviously the downside is that they're going from a control perspective. It's cashless payments, which sounds all good, but it's all about they're selling it on conveniency, etc. But it's more about traceability and control from their side. And obviously, PBOC is always bit controlling when it comes to the cash side of things. Hence why they're always so up and down with we're banning Bitcoin and we aren't. But yeah, I think it's the market interest is obviously strong over there for Bitcoin as it is, and a digitized currency is not too far away. Where WeChat was a huge thing. It's like over here getting people to use. Even with Lightning, so simple and just showing a QR code, which often is the payments made before it's even your eyes can see that the camera scanned it and made the payment. It's that quick. And so, but over here, we're not used to that. We're not used to these kind of QR code payments. And that's why, I think it's probably a bit easier moving into that zone for the Chinese, people in China, because they're used to things, QR codes, WeChat and electronic payments. So I don't know. I think it's kind of I'm too much of an optimist, but I think it's kind of a good thing, because I see it as an easier gateway into Bitcoin.
Well, we don't want anyone pulling their yuan out, even if it is a digital one. Rodolfo, let's go to you. Your thoughts on China's CBDC, central bank digital currency. I have to unmute Rodolfo. Sorry. Oh, still muted. Let's try it one more time.
Okay. Sorry. It was me. I consider that actually the currency that will be pushed is the digital yuan. So even though today you might have Bitcoin eventually, I really don't think so, but you could have this Bitcoin attraction push people into, let's see this digital currency from our country, China, and let's check it if it's similar or not. But it's already been said that it's not. Yes. I think that the one that will be pushed to be adopted is the digital yuan. So in the short term, who will benefit of this experience of being there and understanding that finally it's traceability, it's manipulation and other stuff, will be the Chinese people that were pushed to go to the digital yuan, and then they will understand why Bitcoin is different. So I consider that all these CBDCs are more beneficial for Bitcoin than a problem to it. Yes, I consider that the digital yuan today is alone, but they will fight economically and geopolitically with the euro digital and the US digital and all the other digital currencies, more efficient to access to them than it was before for international commerce and countries. So I think that the fight will be against the CBDCs, and all the debris of that fight will go to Bitcoin. So if today Bitcoin is pushing the yuan, who knows? I think it doesn't, but actually it's always a short term, and we need to see, when we think in Bitcoin, we need to see in the long term. And I absolutely 100% sure that in the long term, all these CBDCs will drive attention to Bitcoin.
Martin, is Rodolfo right? Is the digital yuan a gateway drug to Bitcoin? Maybe we should ban the digital yuan before it's too late. Martin Wismar. Go ahead, Martin.
The digital yuan will be centralized. It will not be like Bitcoin. But China has this unique problem, as Dan just pointed out, is that everybody uses WeChat, Alipay. Nobody uses cash anymore. And if you take a taxi, a cab ride in one of the big cities, they've got little advertisement signs, and that's signs that say cash is still legal tender, or, cash is still money, because people don't even use it anymore. So the government there realizes that they either lose control over cash because it's all done by private corporations, or they introduce something that people will use. And this is, I think, is one of the reasons of their big move. The second one is, of course, obviously having control over people, because, we'll have to send you to a re-education camp because you visited your dealer twice last week, so stuff like that will happen, and it's all about control. So in my opinion, digital currencies aren't really nice because it's all about control. That's why I like Bitcoin, and the rest, no, thank you. So Europe will take another 4 years. The European Central Bank said in a statement this week. So it will take another 4 years before they can even start a pilot project. So China is definitely leading the pack, and I think you'll see interest in Chinese currency increase because of this. We'll probably implement it on our ATMs long before the European Central Bank decides that they will have their own ECB, CBD type of currency or whatever. I always CBD was the stuff which doesn't get you high and it's in the droplets, right? And the other one was the central bank digital currency. I always mix those two up for some reason, but
that's CBD, and then CBGBs is a punk rock club from the 1970s. So yes.
So yeah, I think it is good in a way that it will make people realize why they want Bitcoin, because once cash is gone and it's become this dystopian digital currency, we monitor every move you make type of currency, nobody wants that. So the first thing they'll do is just bring it to their local ATM, swap it out from some extra expensive Bitcoin by that time, and then regain freedom, or Monero or whatever other privacy coin that is out there. So I totally did not answer your question here, I think.
Well, let's see. We'll go to Ben. Maybe he will. Ben Ark, is Martin right? Are the Chinese people, they think they're getting a really nice new present and it's going to be convenient and easy to use money on their phone, but then it's going to turn out to be an Orwellian tracking device? Is it a false present? Ben?
Well, I mean, China has some of the most sophisticated financial systems in the world for payments. And partly the reason why is because they have so much central control, the PBOC. Maybe Martin has a point that Alipay and WePay, they've got 1.8 billion users who use them for everyday payments. And maybe the PBOC, I don't know if that's true, actually, because if the PBOC doesn't like a company, they'll just go and arrest the CEOs and then, put their own CEO in that company. That's the way business works in China. It's a centrally planned economy. And it kind of proves in a way that central planning can work if you do it in the same way which the PBOC have done it. But so maybe they're just trying to get those 1.8 billion users to use their own currency with digital yuan. And it's absolutely correct. It's nothing like a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. It would be more like a sort of stable coin. Could possibly challenge the petrodollar for international commerce because it's incredibly stable and it's got the huge Chinese economy behind it. So it's people could find it useful. I'm not particularly interested in it. It's just kind of a fiat from a digital currency and a more efficient fiat, but it's hasn't got any of the qualities which I like about Bitcoin. I do think that we will see more. I've said this before. Digital fiats on the horizon. Well, I mean, we already have digital fiats, but we'll see more kind of cryptocurrency centric fiats. And I do believe that for the privacy loving countries of the world, they're most likely to be a Bitcoin sidechain using something like Liquid. In fact, I'm going to share the screen again, because this week our mate Adam Back finally admitted you can use Liquid network for such things. So my mate Bitynagog was saying goodbye to a friend, and then their friends said, "Oh, good luck with the Wash independence." And then Adam Back said, post Brexit, GB's people, we should just move straight to BTC. And the Bitynagog said, "Hell yeah!" And they said that I'm working on a federated bottom-up national currency, Welsh pound, which is possible using Liquid network. If you could be federated geographically, I've had this rant before in the show, but I might, yeah. And you could have like a more democratic, better fiat. Soft currencies have uses, and you could have a better version of a soft currency, and we could build it very quickly, and it's socially scalable. Like, we don't need things like a central bank and things to build it. And then Adam Back said, "Yeah, the tech exists." And then quite nicely, he retweeted, "This is also my point of sale," so that's pretty cool. But the tech exists to make a digital currency on something like a Liquid or on some sort of side chain. And that's super exciting to me that finally, he's talking about it, because I've been thinking this for a while. This, to me, we've had this crazy COVID bootstrap where everyone's suddenly become much more digitally native, and all these technologies such as, video streaming, for example, and conferencing platforms have improved so much. We're in Bitcoin 2025, and in Bitcoin 2025, I was assuming that by now countries would be building Bitcoin sidechains for their fiat soft currencies. Now we've seen this centrally planned thing from China, because maybe they're a little bit ahead of everybody else when it comes to financial infrastructure for payments, and it's just a case of waiting for these other countries to catch up, and then hopefully they will use something which is privacy centric, or privacy centric for us, but not for government spending, for example. We could keep an eye on what they're spending their money on. But yeah, so I don't think I answered the question either, but it will be interesting to see, and it will be used, the digital yuan. And it may even be a play by China to try and replace the petrodollar, and it'll be an incredibly stable thing, medium of exchange or whatever. But it will be controlled by the PBOC.
Just like to remind everyone to give us a thumbs up. If you just started watching, just push the thumbs up button. It's free. It's really good for YouTube. YouTube's all about this thumbs up thing. Josh Shigala, are the Chinese looking forward to a new currency? Are they going to lead the way with a new petrodollar?
Badges, we don't need your stinking badges. That's what it's all about. What are we talking about here? What? No, we don't need that. Look, it's the same reason I don't understand anarcho-communism compared to anarcho-capitalism. Anarcho-communism states that you're not allowed to, have your own money, and you have to share everything and such. Whereas, anarcho-capitalism is like, do what you want. If you want, we'll set it up and we'll trade. And you're welcome to not use any money at all, but can you not force me to? And to build anarcho-communism, you would have to slowly start building up centralized control structures to control certain aspects that you don't like. So then you're back to a control grid, and then you get some pigs are more equal than others. So it's the same with currencies. How can you have a decentralized, centralized currency? It doesn't make any sense. There's no point to it. I guess in a way you can have it like Tether, but look, all these fiat currencies are already digital. They're not. The little bit of money that you've got in our pockets here, that's just pittance. It's tiny amounts, fractions of what's actually there in their computer systems. All major currencies are already digital. This is just some sort of weird marketing thing. I don't understand that. WeChat, it's all digital already. They don't need to do this. I don't understand it. I literally don't understand it. It's like trying to understand anarcho-communism, to me, it doesn't make any sense.
Moving on to the exit question. Which currency will make you more free? Facebook's Libra or China's digital Yuan? Dan Eve.
That's like one of those awful questions, like your mum or your sister. No, I actually think Facebook, when it's international, it's less likely to be controlled by what I was going to say, controlled by one entity, but because it's multinational, they're still going to have to abide by the rules of whatever country it's operating in or whatever. And I don't know. I think that's a crazy question. I'll have to choose Facebook.
Rodolfo, same question. Who's your leader, Mark Zuckerberg or Xi Jinping? Gotta unmute Rodolfo. Go ahead.
So actually, yes, it's a tough question. I'm always concerned about, we consider that big companies are freer and more just than governments. But I don't know. Actually, if you put me China and Facebook, eventually I would say Facebook. But I wouldn't put Facebook on top of every single CDVC. I consider that they might have also their own bad actions taken on top of the technology and abuse on top of the technology. Though, if they do wrong, they might lose the business. While countries, if they do wrong, people have no many tools to go against them. So it's easier to move on. If you don't like Facebook, you move on to another company. But if you don't like your country, you can't move on to another country. You could, but the cost of opting out from Facebook is different than the cost of opting out from your country. So I always consider that the opt-out cost is the key to understand centralization and decentralization. No? I would say, in your question, I would say Facebook, but I wouldn't put Facebook always, though the opt-outing from Facebook is easier than opt-outing from a country.
Martin, where do you store your files? Facebook or the Chinese government? Choose. Gotta unmute though.
Okay, I'd select Facebook. Not that I like Libra or Facebook, but as Rodolfo put it, it's probably easier to change all your Facebook Libra shitcoins into Bitcoin than it is to change your digital Yuan into Bitcoin. So this is really bad question, Thomas. I agree with them there, because there is no good answer. And in this case, I'd opt for the one that makes it easiest to change into Bitcoin, because this is where, we should change it into, and not into some local stable coin.
Ben Ark, it's Sophie's choice. You must choose one or the other, China or Facebook.
Well, if Libra, it's not called Libra, is it? Is it still called Libra? I think they changed the name. Anyway,
if their name, but I'm not acknowledging.
I don't know what it's.
I already remembered one stupid name for this.
If Facebook coin worked as they say they wanted to work in the white paper with its federated model, then it wouldn't actually be that bad, to be honest, as a sort of stable coin medium of exchange thing. I think the markets, the international markets, are going to trust the digital yuan if it's stable. Because it's backed by this ginormous economic, going to be the biggest economic superpower on the planet. And Josh, if you want to read from the father of anarchism, Mikhail Bakunin, on capitalism, that'll give you a good idea as to why anarcho-communism has value as a concept. So Mikhail Bakunin on capitalism, he's the father of communism, the father of anarchism. And he was a Marx critic in the Socialist First International. Very interesting man. Predicted Stalin and the rise of the USSR, and has a really nice way of writing. But Mikhail Bakunin on capitalism, read that. It's a great book.
So, Josh, would you rather have your currency and your photos controlled by a dictator who's power hungry and controls everything that people do, or Mark Zuckerberg?
First of all, thanks, Ben. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. The last time I checked, Facebook doesn't have an army that goes around the world aggressing against other people. The other thing is that if Facebook did this, it would change their business model a lot from using you as the customer to basically minting their own currency. It could mean that they could go down the privacy path. I know that Mark Zuckerberg did talk about starting to encrypt more and more. And the reason why they don't now is that they need to see everything to be able to then give you the right marketing. So you click on it and the circles, the loop is closed. Whereas if they had their own money, they could basically try to make that go up, hold a whole bunch of their own coins, and the whole thing like that's happening in the crypto space for a long time. But this is on a mega level and space. So, and also if people are transacting in that, they could take a small cut. So I think I would much rather see Facebook do it. I don't like Facebook. I don't use them. Obviously, I use them without even knowing I use them because they're so just everywhere. But yeah, Facebook, I would much rather use them if I had to between.
I think it's pretty obvious that Facebook doesn't have enough information about us. And if there's a way that we could give them more information, like all the things we buy and sell, that would be great.
Sorry, when I say country, can I just quickly, I don't mean the country of China, I mean government. The people of China are wonderful people.
That was a bit brutal.
Yeah, sorry, it's late. I just mean the government.
Yeah.
And if I fly through their government, can you just it was a joke.
China's cool. Great history. Fantastic wall.
Great.
Wonderful culture.
Yeah, great.
All right. Let's move on to predictions or story of the week. Dan, Eve, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week? We're going to put you on the spot first. Go ahead, Dan.
Really bad at this recently. I can't go for a prediction. Okay. Story of the week. Oh my gee whiz. No, I can't. Can I? I might maybe loop back. I might have thought something by then.
We're gonna come back to Dan. We'll go to Martin Wishmayer. Martin, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week?
I have no prediction this week, but I do have a story. We recently, I told on previous episodes of the show, we made a software package called EveryTrade where you can like manage track your portfolio. But we finally launched an affiliate program and it's working. So people can make like a nice 25% commission on sales they made for the EveryTrade package. So that's really cool for webmasters and podcasters and everybody who wants to has a website with information. They can now advertise the EveryTrade package and get the 25% commission on every conversion they made. And we pay out via PayPal. It's not great, but many of our US clients, they all use PayPal, and it was just the easiest way to do the payouts. We're still working on payouts for the commissions in Bitcoin, but that will be something for the future. But if people want to join, they've got a website or podcast or something, they can just sign up at partners.generalbytes.com and follow the instructions. I'm really excited about this because it allows us to like give something back to the creators and people that bring us traffic instead of just like taking from the internet. That's just wrong. But it was a bit difficult to set up, but now it's working. We tested it and it actually registers your conversion. So yeah, that was my story of the week. It's been a lot of work. I've got lines under my eyes of not sleeping, but it is working. So yeah.
Rodolfo from LA BitConf, do you have a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead. Gotta unmute though first. Aha.
Now I am. Actually, predictions. I don't know why I have this like esoteric understanding of where the price is going, but I'm actively thinking that this week we are going beyond the last 88. Yes. Don't ask me really why. I guess that I just see the price willing to do it. I think that the most relevant news were more related to Visa and PayPal eventually doing this big move towards Bitcoin. And actually, I have we have a new. I guess Josh will like this. We have a new video under the hood. I can't show it yet, but this week we will be showcasing a very nice video that I guess that the whole Bitcoin community will really enjoy. And it's somehow related to the BitConf, but it still needs to keep the secret. But Josh, you like it.
Yeah, oh man, I'm looking forward to it.
Plus explaining how it will be this year. Yes, the conference, which will be very interesting.
That was an epic conference.
That sounds great. Of course, we all know the price is going up. You probably watched earlier because the Magic Bitcoin 8-ball predicted that it's going up. So you're just joining the chorus there. It's already been mentioned. Josh Shigala, do you have a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I just show you here on my, we've just what Ben created for us. If you go to Voltura.com and go to Learn, right now it's on this article, a complete starter's guide to DeFi, and scroll down the bottom of it. And we have these little things here. So you can slide that across and hit go. It processes. And there you can scan that and you get, I think, 100 sats. Yeah, it's really cool. You have to go hunting for sats, and there you can get Satoshi. So if you get like Blue Wallet or Zap, some of these amazing Lightning wallets, get yourself one of those.
It works. I just tested it.
Yeah, there you go.
I got 10 sets from.
10 seats at 10. I wasn't sure what we'd, but it's sort of random. Sometimes we do 1,000 sats, sometimes 10, sometimes I try to do a bunch of different ones. There you go. See, and look how quick that is.
Not as much fun as slapping Ben in the face, but still very fun.
Well, the thing is, you're collecting. You can. That's right. You're collecting them, ready to slap Ben in the face with 10 sats later on. I just want to reiterate on that last comment with China, guys. I have a lot of Chinese friends. I'm definitely love. Have nothing against Chinese people at all. It's just more governments just do my head in. That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a very difficult government in China. Go ahead, Martin.
It's one of the most hardworking people I know. And it's not easy living under such a government. But I buy something on AliExpress almost every day, and they never fail they never disappoint me. So no, don't get it wrong. It's not anything with the people. It's just a totalitarian government thing that freaks us out here.
Or any government for me freaks me out. Yeah. Like I pick on I'm like South Park. I just go after everyone's government. So don't worry about it.
Did you mention the awesome feature on the portal was created and powered by LNbits?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, LNbits built this. Ben Ark, check out lnbits.com. I really didn't realize, Ben, before we did this, how amazing that project is.
So much fun.
It is amazing. If you have a shop, you can start to accept Bitcoin. If you want to build something like this, where you can put it into your website, and it's really, really, really a solid package when it comes to Lightning Network. Check it out. Do yourself a favor.
We're working. Jeff, he's probably the lead dev now on it. He's been doing a hell of a lot of work. It makes me feel incredibly guilty. I just can't keep up with this productivity. It's insane. But there's actually on the 9th, with Crypto Graffiti, there's a really interesting installation which is going to be taking place using an LNbits extension. So that'll be on the 9th of April. Kind of check out the Bitcoin Twitter, Crypto Graffiti. I don't want to reveal too much because I don't know how much I can reveal, but I'm super excited about that. I'm seeing all the commits in the GitHub being made for that particular extension. So though it's great seeing that software develop. It's really, really great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ben, are you ready with a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
Yeah. I need to correct first. So it was Mikhail Bakunin, The Capitalist System. Mikhail Bakunin is very good. The Capitalist System. I recently reread as well some Murray Bookchin, who's the kind of ecologist, anarchist, guy from New York. Absolutely the most phenomenal writer I think probably my favorite writer. Just his prose is beautiful. It makes you almost want to cry. It's gorgeous. Maury Bookchin. You can't. It's kind of annoying with these anarchists. Like, you can't get their stuff on Audible. But then in saying that, Audible Anarchist, they do an absolutely fantastic service producing all these Audible versions. Audiobooks of these books for free just on YouTube. So if you look at Audible Anarchist, you'll be able to get all of Maury Bookchin's and Mikhail Bakunin's work. Read it all. It's great. So the story of the week is, I think we can talk about it now, but again, I'm not 100% sure. So, but I'll just talk about it anyway. In Bitcoin 2019 in San Francisco, the first Bitcoin conference thing I went to, the proper one, was the Lightning Hack Day in Berlin. So for me, like, Bitcoin conferences should always have kind of a hack area. And when I went to Bitcoin 2019, there wasn't a hack area. I was there to like retrofit these arcade machines to accept payments over Lightning. So I just like got some tables together and pushed them together. Anyway, it was super cool, like, because I had a bunch of hardware kits for making like little points of sales and things. And people would just come over and I'd show them how to make these different things. And like, one of the kits I gave out, for example, to a guy called Ken Sedgwick, he went off and made the kit or whatever it is, which is like a crypto tools thing project, which is sponsored by Blockchain Commerce. And it's a big deal. It's can't remember the name of but there's like some legitimate, like, just cryptographers who were behind that, and that was based on this hardware which I'd given to this guy. And I spent pretty much the whole conference. It was with Stepan Snygrov, and we were playing around with making hardware wallets on little SP32s, and my little hardware wallet came from that. And I know he sort of worked on a lot of the Spectre stuff when we were there as well. So that was really cool. So lots of good came from just these two little tables smashed together, and then people coming over and us all just exchanging ideas. So for Bitcoin 2021 in Miami, which is going to be absolutely huge, I know they've got the Miami governor involved because it's so big. It's like the biggest conference meetup thing since, COVID began. So it's a huge deal. Lots of huge names, Jack Dorsey and Michael Saylor and Tony Hawk will be there as well. I said we should expand the hack space area. So now we've got like a big hack space area. Marty Odell, that dude, he's involved in it as well. So we'll have like a bigger area to do hacking stuff. Christian Rootser will be there. We'll be spinning up some nodes. I'm going to take loads of those buy Bitcoin stamps. So if you want to come get some free buy Bitcoin stamps, but I also have a whole bunch of project kits. So I know a lot of Bitcoiners are going to that Bitcoin Miami thing. And if you do, then come and check out the hack space. We'll have loads of wires out and we'll be making stuff. It's going to be super exciting because there's so many, like in LM Bits, for example, there's a whole bunch of extensions being built for pretty much just to showcase stuff at that conference. So really looking forward to Bitcoin 2021 in Miami. Hopefully we can go and I can go. And we'll have like a really big hack space, which will still be running if I can't go. And, as Europeans can't get to it, it'll still be running. So if you go and check that out.
All right. Very cool. Just like to remind everyone to check out shop.worldcryptonetwork.com. We've got the Treasures Don't Float t-shirt, the HAL Finnies mugs, and more at shop.worldcryptonetwork.com. Also, be sure to check out WCN Clips. The link was in the chat, or you can search on Google for YouTube WCN Clips and just share these out. They need a lot more attention than they're currently getting. Also, a good time to give us a thumbs up down below. Even if you didn't for the rest of the show, you can still do it now at the end of the show. I think we're going to head towards the end here. It's been a slightly longer show. Thanks so much for Rodolfo for joining us from LawBitConf. Everybody check out LawBitConf. It's a great conference in Latin America. It kind of moves around. So find out more information on their webpage.
It's probably the best conference, I got to say.
There we go. The best conference.
Yeah.
At least the longest running.
Yeah, and the longest running. Yeah, definitely. And then the sister Unchained here in Berlin was also great.
The Unchained conference.
Yeah. So just the whole thing.
That's this week we're launching the new website also, so you really get some surprises there.
Excellent. I'll have to keep a lookout.
Very cool. And thanks again to everyone for joining us. Until next time, bye.